Hi, Madison. I enjoyed reading your essay, and I'm just going to go over a few things with you. And as far as the formatting is looking, it's looking great. Um, I really wanted y'all to concentrate on getting a good hook, and maybe we need to have a class on how to research something like that, because to me it's a lot of fun. I just go to Google or Yahoo. So you started out with, do you believe your life would be substantially different with little to no technology use? Okay. So yeah, I mean, we wonder about things like that, but that really doesn't draw me into your paper. Let's start with something like this. If you add a more appealing hook, in just less than 5 minutes, I found this, because I was thinking of people who you would associate with computers and perhaps science fiction. And Aldous Huxley wrote Brave New World, which is very futuristic. And actually, he was born 9 days after my grandmother in 1894. And he wrote this before he died in 1963. So he was way ahead of his time, just as most of these science fiction dystopian people are. Um, but I found this, and it means a lot to me coming from a man who did imagine the future. And now that we're in the future he was talking about, he was so correct on so many levels. This is what I said. Aldous Huxley, English writer, philosopher, and author of Brave New World, offered up this take on technology, quote, technological progress has merely provided us with more efficient means for going backwards. Okay. And then you would start into whether that is a positive. And by the way, don't use contractions. Hopefully, you've seen that video that I sent out tonight on your email. But anyway, that's a better way of bringing this in, because you kind of laugh to yourself and go, yeah, that's probably right. Maybe not backwards technologically, but maybe socially, because we're too glued to our computers. Just saying. And you can use whatever you want, but I always like to start with a quote. Now, some people don't really care, but yeah. All right. In this part here, because not doing so, I said take the commas out. Okay. So I don't think I wrote it that way, but whatever. Include her credentials. So Alice Park. Do some research on who Alice Park is. That's another thing that you can put in your paper that really subtly, or maybe ostensibly, tells your reader that this is a person who knows her stuff and this is what she's an expert in. So you should listen to her. She's backing me up in my argument. So I would look that up according to Alice Park, um, and then go from there. Again, this person, we're throwing out names, but who are they? What are their credentials? Is she a computer whiz? Is she the CEO of Microsoft or Nintendo? I don't know who she is. Then right here it says, should this not be your second main point about physical well-being? Because it looks like the first one I think was about mental, but this is unclear here. So please clarify. Um, And what I would do here, instead of Jeremy Bidwell, I would say the author of The Effects of Screen Time on Children concurs with when he states one factor, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And then when you get down here, you leave the Bidwell where it is. Okay. Again, no contractions, that shouldn't. What is Dakshine, or however you say that name? How is that? What are that person's credentials? Um, This I couldn't find out where your quote began. And remember, there's a space between the quotation mark and the parenthesis. I couldn't find where it began. And I'm really not sure why that has brackets. So please go back over and check those and fix that. Then down here, you should mention social development. Okay, so this is your third, or actually, this might, yeah, that might be your third one. I'm not sure. Where's your, okay, here's your counter argument, and that is a good transition there. That's good. This, it sounds like if I go by your thesis, that this should be social development, but it doesn't sound like it. It's too vague. You need to be, you don't have to say social development, but something synonymous to that. Okay, and then this quote right here, ooh, that's way too long. And remember, in class on Monday, we talked about the lady on the video talked about using your own words as much as you can and use the quotes and the paraphrases sparingly just to back up your points. Otherwise, it's what I call a data dump, and you don't get a good grade on that because all you do is put quotation marks at that. No, you have to actually have a strong argument that comes from you, from your voice. So I just said it's too long. Write most of it in your own words, and use the author's exact words sparingly. Okay, and then I guess what I'm asking here, why do you have a 4 here? Because if you go and you look at Park, the page range here is, there is no page range. In fact, I think yours is one of the ones that I did not see pages on, which makes me wonder. You need to go back, because I will on the final. Make sure that you've got all of the complete citations here. And it's actually Bidwell, Jeremy, MD. Bidwell, Jeremy, MD. At least you put it where it belonged in the B thing. Yeah, usually these are going to have page numbers. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these links and check it out. So make sure it doesn't look like any of them has a page number, which is usually a bad sign that you're not using our database. So that may bump the grade down a little bit, because you really need to mainly use our database. It's okay to use a couple of the other ones, but really our database is what you need to do. Okay, so let me go back up here. So there should be, behind Park, there should be no number because there is no page number. So let me go back up and find that again. Well, wherever it is. Yeah, I was asking you what the 19 was for. Where does the quote begin? Do that. Why do you have a 4 there? Park has no page numbers, so it would just be Park. Then here, find out what the credentials of the author and include them like this. I should say include. Sorry about that. I've spent 18 hours on these papers, so my brain is kind of tired. It took me less than 2 minutes to find out about this author, but instead of mentioning the author's name, this is a more creative way. A Toronto-based writer, editor, and digital manager with over 10 years experience cautions that, quote, too much time, da 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 da, and then it's Niederman. Okay, so that's the author. But see, I didn't mention his name except down here, but that's fine. I'm telling you what his credentials are. That's what you need to, and there are some people with the same names. You have to make sure you got the right one. And if you've got academic search complete, a lot of times they'll tell you something about the author in there. In the foreword or whatever it is. Okay. But usually, if you put the name of the author and the article on Google, you can probably find it and then find some information about the author. If you can't, you can't, but you got to try. Okay, so other than that, those few things that you need to do, everything looks good. See you tomorrow.